traveled far, as I've just received word that the great Lord Vivek has fallen. Years ago, I served Vivek in battle as one of his champions. I have returned now to say my farewells. But then, something unimaginable happened. While lying still and lifeless, he spoke to me. And then, in an instant, he imbued me with his power. And I vowed to eradicate any who were responsible for his death.
By Stendhal, the capture point has moved!
Hey everyone, it's Area of Effect with another out-of-the-box build. This time, an absolutely ridiculously overpowered, stupid build. DragonKnight, we're going to break it down. Let's start with the stat screens. A lot of recoveries, as you can see. Big max health. Now look at the max magicka and stamina. Not very high, but we got decent penetration with some breach as well, and very high resistances. But this build, and here's the so sword and board and Inferno staff, okay, is what we're going with here. The crit went up on the Inferno staff to almost 30%, but this build is not based off of just max resources or weapon and spell damage. We're going to deal a ton of damage, and you'll see the mechanics as I break them down. Smoked bear haunch, gotta have it. Max health to all 3 recoveries. We're going with the serpent on this build for our Mundus. We need that stam recovery, and there's going to be a mechanic that increases our stam and magicka recovery. We'll get to that later in the gear. Vampire stage 3, actually, during the time of taking this video, I had fallen down. You can see it's pretty fresh down to stage 2. You want stage 3 for that extra damage mitigation, scaling off the damage on your health bar. All right, for the race, I went with an orc. You don't have to. You could use Imperial or even a Nord. I want that brawny passive, more max stamina, 1,000. The unflinching rage, we get that max health by 1,000, and you heal when you deal damage for 22, almost 2,200 health every 4 seconds. So just a constant streamline of healing coming back to you in battle. And then Swift Warrior, weapon and spell damage, we get that bonus and reduces the cost of sprint. And movement speed bonus of sprint by 10%. So we are in some heavy on this build, and you'll see. So we want to kind of make up for some of that with some mobility. I just love the speed behind an orc. First 5-piece set on the gear. Eternal Yokita, absolutely insane. Probably the most ridiculous defensive set in the game. Healing taken, minor Aegis, we don't really need that. Max health, healing taken. When you take damage while below 25% health, you'll heal for almost 20,000 and you'll gain 97, almost 100 ultimate. This can occur every minute. The higher your max health, the higher the heal proc. We got the sword and board of that set, and this set is nuts. And the monster set, we got 1 piece of Magma Incarnate for that double recovery, but you could use a different 1 piece if you wanted to for a different stat. As far as penetration on the front bar, we were 9,100, but we're using breach, so they're getting 6,000 more, so we're like 14,000, 15,000. You could put a piece of max health or more resistance, whatever you'd like. The next 5-piece set, Draugr. It's a light armor set, max magicka, penetration, magicka recovery, and increases your damage done by 318, but reduces your healing taken by 10%. Now that doesn't sound like much, but it's going to add up. If you hit somebody with an ice comet, which we're not using, just as an example, 20,000 damage, well, Draugr only going to make it 20,318. Infinitesimally small, not much bigger at all. How can it be worth it? I'll show you with damage over times. We're using a mythic here. It's the Torque of Tonal Constancy. While your stamina is less than 50%, increase your magicka by 450. On the inverse, while your magicka is less than 50%, increase your stamina by 450. These can both be up and active simultaneously if both pools are depleted. But on the front bar, we're using Vatashran's Inferno staff with a double dot poison. More damage over times, double ticking there. Penetration we have on this front bar. And when you cast weakness to elements, you're going to create a tether that is going to deal flame, frost, and shock damage every second, increasing each second and tick, but also gives the skill required to use it, which is Elemental Drain, is going to not only give them breach, I was telling you about, for 6,000 more resistance reduction, which is basically just more penetration, but also we're going to get this, see the balls going around them, flame, frost, and shock damage from the skill itself every 6 seconds, also giving the basically the status effect with that, burning, concussed, and chilled, which concussed, by the way, is going to give them minor vulnerability, increasing their damage taken by 5%, and the burning is another dot. The minor maim is going to reduce their damage done by 5%. But let's talk about Draugr now. How can a measly 318 damage make any difference? And here's how. Everything we are doing is basically a damage over time. Hit him with entropy, it's taking damage over time. Hit him with the slash heal, the flame heal, he's burning, it's damage over time. Elemental susceptibility, the tether, the double dot poison. As a matter of fact, on the sword and board bar, the talons, they have upfront damage, but they have a damage over time. The major resolve and major ward from spiked armor, damage over time. Corrosion, which actually, due to the changes they've made to corrosion, where you can't, coming in the next patch, you can't regain ultimate while in corrosive form. We went with Magma Shell, and this build was called Corrosive Leap because the idea was you could be in corrosive armor, get that proc from Eternal Yokita, and Dragon Leap with Take Flight, and Dragon Leap in corrosive and deal direct damage with everybody being naked with the Dragon Leap. Leaping while in corrosive, but you can still leap while in Magma Shell here, but you don't get that penetration bonus. But look at all these damage over times. You really got to pay attention to the numbers, the orange numbers. There's direct damage above the head, but the orange numbers on the body, all of them are getting buffed and modified by Draugr simultaneously. Add up that 318 by 12 or 13, and that's how you get so much damage. Let's jump into those skills now. Burning Talons on the sword and board bar. Almost 5,000 up front, and then 6135 flame damage over 5 seconds. Damage over time and immobilizes them. Also allows us to go right into Lava Whip. We'll explain that in a second. Resolving Vigor is a stamina heal on the sword and board bar. Over 11,000 health over 5 seconds, and we get minor resolve and minor ward. The next skill, Flame Lash, an upfront 6,200 flame damage, but if you strike them if they're immobilized, which they will be from talons, they're immediately off balance. And whipping an off balance or immobilized enemy turns into Power Lash, reducing the cost in half, dealing more damage and healing you for 6,600 health. I love that skill. Next skill, a Magicka Burst Heal Green Dragon Blood. Draw on your Draconic Blood to heal for 34% of your missing health, and an additional, this is new, 1,064 health every second over 5 seconds. So it's a burst heal now, but also a slight heal over time. Also going to give us major fortitude and endurance, but it's going to give us minor vitality, increasing our healing taken by 8%, helping to offset the 10% penalty from Draugr. Next skill, Volatile Armor. We get our major resolve and major ward from this skill, increasing our resistance by 6,000, but it also releases a spray of spikes, dealing 17,000 damage over 20 seconds, but each tick of that, it's going to be more because of Draugr. On the ultimate skill, we've got Magma Shell. We had Corrosive, like I said, but they nerfed it. Magma Shell still limits our incoming damage to only 3% of our max health. But you can gain ultimate while in this form. You're virtually unkillable, and you deal flame damage around you for 12 seconds. On the Inferno staff bar, Force Pulse, Flame, Frost, and Shock damage, all of those are going to be triple dipped into the Draugr buff, 318. But it also gives us a chance with weaving that with light attacks to proc the double dot poison. The next skill, Flames of Oblivion, it's slotted for our crit chance, Major Prophecy, but it's also going to go out to 3 enemies every 5 seconds and deal flame damage. Next skill, Elemental Susceptibility. Here's our Major Breach, reduces their armor by 6,000, but every 7.5 seconds, sorry, it used to be 6, I said 6 earlier, it's going to give all 3 elemental status effects. So this coupled with Vatishran is the tether, and Elemental Susceptibility is the orbs. It's a great combo, especially everything there being buffed by Draugr. Degeneration, our next skill, doesn't cost very much magicka, deals 17,000 damage over 20 seconds, while also giving us major sorcery. We went with this instead of the DragonKnight class Molten Armaments or Igneous Weapons because we wanted that damage over time to capitalize even more on Draugr. The next skill, Burning Embers. Now this one deals flame damage up front, almost 21,000 flame damage over 24 seconds, but heals you for 102% of the damage done with this skill. It makes them burn, it gives them the burning status effect as well, so it's kind of a double dot there if they don't already have the burning status effect from elemental susceptibility. But burning embers being buffed by Draugr makes your healing insane. Every second you could hit multiple enemies with burning embers, and Draugr just taking that way up, increasing the damage, and in turn increasing your healing from the damage. Ferocious Leap, we went with this morph because of the damage shield. You could go with Take Flight for a little bit of a cheaper cost, but Ferocious Leap gives you that flame damage and damage shield when you jump. And we've got a lot of max health, so the damage shield scales off of max health, so it's great. Look at all the dots, damage over time. Now, heavy attacks, by the way, are an important part of this build as well. With the changes to the Inferno staff, you get another dot from a heavy attack. And Inferno staffs passively increase the damage done of damage over times. On this build, it was a lightning staff until they made that change. And the Inferno staff was the way to go. Not only for the extra dot, but also for all the damage increasing 12%. I think it is on the Inferno staff to all your damage over times. And we have like 12 or 13 of them. So I spoke over the blue tree, but check it out. This is what we went with. You can go ahead and change it around if you'd like. But I'd say Thaumaturge is definitely a no-brainer for that extra damage over time damage. On the red tree, Boundless Vitality getting us more max health, 1400 there, going a long way with everything we do. Fortified giving us more physical and spell resistance, 1700 right there. Rejuvenation, a constant 90. Magicka health and stamina recovery at all times. And Bracing Anchor, 20% block mitigation, and movement speed is reduced a little bit, but 20% damage mitigation while blocking. That's insane, especially since we're wielding a sword and board. It's going to go a long way. DragonKnights already get a block mitigation. You could do Sustained by Suffering for even more health, magicka, and stamina recovery while you're under the effect of a negative effect. Well, that's going to wrap up the CP distribution and wrap up this build, the Eternal build. If you like this build and you want to see more, head on over to my channel. I've got plenty more builds on there of all types, different classes, different stuff, like just whatever. There's a lot, and go check it out. If you like me that much, then just check out my other builds. Check out my other builds.